Fellow pre-calculus students, this is a review to go over the questions that we worked on in class, but a video solution. So what we want to do is we're going to look at each problem and we're going to try to just remind you of the little tricks and ways to remember these problems. And hopefully you practice these tonight before the test tomorrow. So anyway, on the first one, when you look at sine of theta, they say it's less than 0 and cosine is greater than 0. You should use your little graphic organizer where it basically says all students take calc or cooking, and basically it says that sine is less than 0, which would be in quadrant 3 and 4, and the cosine is greater than 0, which should be in quadrant 1 and 4. So the overlap is quadrant 4. So we would put that there. And the next one, tangent is less than 0, so that'll be in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2 and 4. And cosine is less than 0, which would be in quadrant 2 and 3. So the answer for the second one would be quadrant 2. Next one, find the reference angle. This should be pretty easy for you guys. Both are 30 degrees. The point to remember that in class kids were making a mistake on was the reference angle is always the angle between the terminal side and the horizontal axis. So, for example, the 210 degree angle here, its reference angle is 30 because that's what's needed. Pardon me. This would be a 150 degree angle. So if this was 150, then the reference angle will be 30 to get you back to horizontal. On the next one, where they say the sine of an angle is 2/3 or negative 2/3, and you're in quadrant 4, you draw the angle in quadrant 4. This is the angle. And you say that, we'll label this as 3A, and you say that the one side opposite is -2, the hypotenuse is always positive, that's 3. Using Pythagorean theorem, 2 squared plus the x side squared equals 3 squared. You solve for the missing side and you get √5. And then you find the ratio they asked for. So here they asked for the tangent of theta. It would be -2 over √5. And the resulting amount would be, it'd be opposite over adjacent, -2 over √5, which would be -2 √5 over 5. On part B, that answer would be, to find sine of theta, that would be 1/2. On part C, this is one worth doing, because they say the secant is equal to 3. So, and you're in quadrant 1. So if you're in quadrant 1, you draw what the angle would be. They said the secant ratio is equal to 3, so you'd write the cosine ratio is equal to 1 over 3. The 1 is the adjacent side, so that'd be 1. Hypotenuse is 3. Through Pythagorean theorem, you would find the opposite side. So we'll call it square root of 8. Some people could call that 2√2 if they simplify it. And now the opposite over, because they want tangent, the opposite over adjacent will be √8 divided by 1. Or you could say 2√2 divided by 1. Or you could say 2√2. Part D wants the tangent of the angle. So up here we'll do 3D. The tangent of theta is equal to 2/3, and you're in quadrant 2. So we're going to draw a quadrant 2 angle. The opposite and adjacent are 2/3. That's positive, that's negative. The hypotenuse, after doing Pythagorean theorem, would be, √13. And then, so now you're looking for the sine of theta, and that would be 2 over √13, and please rationalize this, that would be 2 √13 over 13. Moving along, all of these trig ratios we've practiced in class using either the table or using our reference triangles. I'm just going to put the answers in. but this is something that you can review from another video. I'm just going to pause the video while I put the answers in, and then you can double check them later. Okay, so the answers have been all written in, and you could double check those and look through what we did in class as far as to find those. It's a combination of using your reference triangles, whether they be 45, 45, 90, or 30, 60, 90. Or using the chart where we did the quadrantal angles. On the next one, the sine of x equals 0. The reference angle, or the angle for this, if you use a chart, you should be able to find that the sine of x equals 0 when x is equal to 0 degrees or 180 degrees. On the test, we will restrict domain for the answers so that the answers can be between and including 0, but only up to but not including 360. On the next one, cosine of x is equal to 1/2. That reference angle is equal to 60 degrees. And since it's positive, we're in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4, and those angles would be 60 degrees and 300 degrees. Tangent ratio is equal to -3, or negative root 3. So the first thing is to find the reference angle, theta r. For the tangent ratio to be root 3 over 1, the opposite side would be root 3, the adjacent would be 1. We're talking about a 60-degree reference angle, and now tangent is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 4, so those angles would be 120 degrees and 300 degrees. Last one, the tangent of B is equal to 0. From our chart, you would find that when beta or B is 0 or 180 degrees, our tangent ratio is equal to 0. Excuse me, allergies, I guess. Okay, so now in the multiple choice question, they say you have a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So we'll make, so here's theta, and they say the smallest angle, we want to take the sine ratio of the smallest angle, theta. Well, it has to be opposite the smallest side, so that's why I put the 3 there. The 4 is here, and the 5 is a hypotenuse, so our tangent ratio will just be 3/5. Choice A. In the next one, they say the cosine ratio is -5/13, and the tangent is, so that's negative, and the tangent is positive. So that's going to mean that you are in quadrant 3. So the adjacent side is 5, the hypotenuse is 13. Using Pythagorean theorem, you'll find that the opposite is 12, pointing down. So now the sine ratio is going to be -12/13. This will be the end of the first video for page 1 of the review, and I'll post another video for the second page of the review. Hopefully this helps, and I look forward to hearing your comments.